was working as an executive assistant for this guy um, that I really felt completely out of balance in my life. I felt like even though I was somebody who could completely handle his schedule and organize his life and do all those things you would imagine like the perfect personal assistant could do, I felt like I was really being kind of taken advantage of and in this lifestyle that I was not happy with at all. And so I started thinking, I want to just work with women and just do one-on-one help with them. So that was kind of my initial thought on how I was going to get started. And so I literally just thought, I am going to go out there and go door to door if I have to. Me and my daughter will take flyers around. We'll tell them that I can organize anything and everything because that was a strength of mine. I knew that I just wanted to do that. So this was several years ago. Again, I'm like super desperate to get out of this job, and I had no idea what I was doing. So I started Googling information about how to become a professional organizer, and there was so much information out there that was so confusing, and all of it was like, you have to take this certification class. You need to learn the official way of how to organize other people. And to be honest with you, I initially spent some money on some things that were so not helpful at all. And so, like, I didn't have a ton of savings to invest in at the time. So that was one thing that really helped me decide that I wanted to now share this information because I want to help somebody else avoid those same traps if that's where you are. So I know I'm jumping all over the place here. I started Googling information about becoming a professional organizer while I was still working in the assistant job, and then eventually kind of put together a plan. And that particular job became so unbearable and stressful that I ended up quitting without really having the next thing lined up. And for me at that time, that was the right thing to do. I don't regret it at all. But I did have the time suddenly to 1000% jump into building the organizing business. So I'm literally just sharing with you what I did from day one, which was I took the web design experience that I had and I built a website. In that process of doing research, looked at probably 300 professional organizer websites because I was there's a lot of different ways that you can set up your business and the way that you can set up your pricing and set up your services. And I apparently felt like I needed to know what every single other person in the world was doing before I could start my own thing. So excuse me. That's really funny to me now because I have finally sort of developed this mindset where you need to know a little bit, but like just getting something done is better than it being perfect. So back then I felt just kind of like frozen and paralyzed because I thought I need to understand how everybody else is doing it so that I can do it the exact right, perfect way. And frankly, and this is one thing I want to talk about over time with you guys, is that building a business that is more boutique and personalized for your client is infinitely better than doing something that is like what everybody else is doing anyway. So if that is a problem for anybody else out there where you feel like you have to do all the research and know all the ins and outs and possibilities before you get started, I want to help you get over that. So fast forward a little bit, I within a few weeks had set up a really basic website. Finally realized that I could just make it in my own style, my own aesthetic, and make it different from what my local competition was doing. And now, I got to give them all the love in the world. I know that there were and still are a lot of my local competitors, out there doing their thing, and they all had different ways of going about it. But I kid you not, like one website, and this was two ladies that worked together in my local area, which was great. I mean, I thought, I wish I had a partner I could do this with. Their website color was literally bright green, like it blinded you. And I thought, this is inspiring, because if they can be successful with what they're doing with having a website that was not particularly beautiful or easy to use, then I thought surely I can stand out a little bit more and figure out a way to present myself that was just going to be more friendly, more better. So within a few weeks, like a couple of weeks, because I locked myself in a friend's office and created my entire website. I didn't even have like a nice computer at the time, so I had a lack of time to really do it. So I kind of knocked it out within one weekend, and set up an ad on Find My Organizer, and I set up a Facebook ad. And I had no idea what I was doing. This was a little bit different because even just a couple of years ago, Facebook ads were kind of really tiny off to the side, kind of not like where the little trending news items are now. You would see a little tiny ad that would be like for a local restaurant or something, and it wasn't really in your newsfeed like it is now. So I set up a Facebook ad that was super basic. It said something like, "Are you totally overwhelmed? Consider hiring a professional organizer." And I had a picture of, I remember I tested 3 different pictures to see which one did better, which one got more clicks. So the one that did the best was like a crop, like close-in picture of this really fancy armchair. And it had kind of a nice background to it, but it didn't really stand out. And anyway, it wasn't to me like, it wasn't a picture of a organized closet or something that you would typically associate with organizing. But I really think that possibly, what caught people's attention was the headline, like, "Are you totally overwhelmed? Consider hiring a professional organizer." And I went into Facebook ad targeting and set my audience to be women that were between a certain age range, I think like 40 and 60, and who had expressed a previous interest in anything that was related to like interior design. You can also target people based on their income level. So at first I just put like the highest income level, and it was like a smaller targeted audience that was in my local area. And then over the next like maybe month or two, I expanded that ad audience to people with a little bit bigger income range. The moral of this story is I got my first 2 clients in the very first week that I had these Facebook ads out. And that's something that I definitely want to talk more about in my blog and talk more about here, how to do it now with the way that ads are set up now, and also how to do it better. Because here's the shocking thing, right? So I ran these ads, for maybe 8 weeks, and I think that I had my budget set at $5 a day because I didn't have a lot, and also I knew I was kind of experimenting with how to do this. So the amazing thing, so I get 2 clients the very first week, and then, like I said, I kind of continued to experiment with that same little ad, clicking through to my website. It took them to kind of like a simple 1-page website that had a picture of me, and I'm not kidding you, like it was a selfie that I had taken over the summer that was kind of it was a professional selfie. It was something that had kind of a nice look to it, and I filtered it in Instagram or whatever and made it black and white so it looked a little more I guess chic, and I used that on my website. So it was a 1-page website that described my services. It had a plugin, and this was in WordPress. Again, this was a couple years ago, so I don't think the exact same thing exists now, but it had a plugin in WordPress that streamed my most recent pins from my Pinterest feed directly onto my homepage. Then at the bottom, and I kind of described my services, which was very basic. At the bottom, my call to action was request more info, or request consultation. Maybe that's what I said. And so the people who visited my website from the Facebook ad, I can't remember exactly what the statistics were, but I had 500 people, give or take, over the course of 8 weeks, click through to my website from the ad. I had no way, and I regret this so much, I had no way of, once I had them on my website, I didn't have anything to entice them to sign up for anything with me, which could have gotten them onto my email list so that I could have possibly connected with them later and let them know about a special that I was having, or just kind of hey, I know you're interested, like here's something that, kind of another way to reach out to them or remarket to them. I didn't do any of that, but I probably had 15 people who requested a consultation, and that was through just a form that I had embedded on my website. And it was really basic information, what's your name, tell me a little bit about your situation. I had one kind of cool question that I came up with at the very beginning of my business. I still use this on my business website today, which is, when it comes to organizing, which of these options describes you? And the options are, the question said, when it comes to organizing, what I would most like is, and then the options were A, like coffee and someone to help me power through the project. B is tea and a calm, caring professional that can help me make decisions. C was champagne and just something that can make it feel like a party to organize. And D, the option D, was just to have somebody do it for me. And there's no right or wrong answer for me. I just use this as a way to kind of start filtering my clients, for me to kind of understand what it was they were looking for before we even talked on the phone. And then, it kind of had a free form text part of my form that just said, tell me a little bit about your situation. So some people would give more information or less information. Anyway, so from here, this is the famous story that I talk a lot about on my blog, is one of those clients, the one who ended up being my very first client, we talked on the phone, and I told her that I had recently started an organizing business and that I had just left an executive assistant job, so she didn't think that I was totally new to organizing. I was just letting her know, like, I had this experience before and now I'm using it to do this new business venture. So she knew that I was new. She did not know that she was my very first client, but I talked to her on the phone. I listened very calmly to her situation. She had just been through sort of a traumatic situation where 2 people in her family had passed away suddenly, and so she had a lot of their stuff at her house, which was beginning to become really hard for her to deal with, because every time, she had this beautiful house, but every time she would sit down and like start trying to go through their things, she would kind of get either really emotional or carried off in another direction. So it was hard for her to focus and just get that job done. So went to her house. I did my first ever consultation. Some of what I did in that consultation I still use today. Other parts I learned really quickly were not quite how I needed to do it, but I let her walk me through her house, and I will tell you that one of the things you have to get really good at as a professional organizer, every single person who you go on a consultation will say, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed, and everything is so horrible, and I'm sure this is the worst you've ever seen. And you have to tell every single person, even if it's the worst you've ever seen, all I've seen is, this is not as bad as other homes I've been in, like, don't worry. So I walked through her house. I remained very unfazed by the whole thing, even though I had no idea at that point, like, is this normal or is this totally far beyond my abilities? And she really did. She had an entire house, a huge 2-story house that needed to be organized. But, I looked at it and I could see what to do. Like, I could see how to break down the project into steps and move through it. And that got me so excited, because that was what I had kind of been craving the whole time when I was thinking about this business. Is I'm like, I know that I'm good at this, and I know that there are people who need this. And she sat down with me and we went through my service packages, and I did package my services from the very beginning. I didn't say, how many hours do you want me to come? Here's how much I charge per hour. Because this woman, you have to realize, like, she's in a mental state where she can't even like put one foot in front of the other, because she's been through a really hard time. She still has a job she has to go to. She doesn't, I think her daughter had like just left for college, so she didn't really have anybody extra to help her. Her husband worked full time. She was looking for something that was like, click the easy button and like, let this all be gone. And she knew that I was not going to be able to do her entire house, but she realized that she and I kind of made a connection, and that I was already in her house. She felt very comfortable with me. She saw that I was non-judgmental and really open and just really excited about the whole thing. And she, all on her own, said, I want to sign up for the package of 8 sessions, and let's start with that and then see how it goes. So from the time that I had quit my job to walking into this woman's house, I had invested some money, invested a little bit of money in doing my website because that was what I personally chose to do. I had invested $5 a day in Facebook ads that got her after 1 week. So, at this point, I'm thinking I'd spent about $100, and she wrote me a check for $2,000, $2,029, to come do this package of 8 sessions. Now, what I was just thinking, oh my gosh, well, first of all, I can just do this. I can do this all day long and start making like $10,000 a month. So of course I was already getting ahead of myself. I was already getting so excited. But when you look back at that, and the more that I think about it, I mean, it's already been over 2 years since that happened. And I keep looking back and thinking, completely sold this woman based on a personal connection and based on what I had a lot of confidence in my skills, and I had a lot of excitement about what we were going to do. But she, because I was able to represent myself online in a really accurate, sort of, great, what's the word? Represented myself positively online to a potential client, and I didn't repel her with like crazy lime green background website and my 1-800 number across the top of the screen. Essentially, I didn't market myself like a cleaning service, which I see so many professional organizers do. I marketed myself like a upscale, all-inclusive boutique business that was going to get her this result that she wanted, and I made that sale. And every single time that I went on a consultation after that, I made the sale. Now, I made some other mistakes along the way that I really wish I could go back. I tried print advertising locally for a little bit. I don't know why I did that. I stopped doing Facebook ads. I failed to do any more research into how to optimize those or how to make those better. And I thought, I'll invest $650 in a print ad that's going to run one time in a local magazine. And and I broke even on that, so it's not the biggest deal in the world, but I was expecting like a 5 or 6 times return, and that just didn't happen. So basically, what I'm getting at here is, now at this point, I spend almost no money. I don't spend any money directly marketing my business. I basically figured out the most high leverage activities in order for me to actually get clients, and then be able to get those clients to refer me to their friends. And so that is my marketing scheme now. There's literally nothing that you have to do in order to get started. You don't have to be certified in anything. You don't have to take a special class. Like, you need to be able to walk into someone's house with with all the integrity in the world. I mean, you need to be able to follow through on your promise to help these people make the changes that they want to make in their life. I mean, it's obviously not for the faint of heart. I think you have to be someone who is extremely compassionate, extremely ethical, extremely understanding, because let's be honest, people who need to be organized are flaky, and they almost always have something major going on. Like this woman who had just been through death. I have worked with women who have been through divorce and job loss and death of a spouse, and having to downsize from a home that they have lived in for 40 years. I mean, all of these things are not just about their stuff in their house. Like, it's really emotional. And I've worked with people going through really positive things too, like family moving into a new house that needs to know how to set it up so that it's really efficient and they have systems that work for them, because the parents work a lot, and then when they want to come home, they want to be able to enjoy themselves. I've worked with women who are getting remarried and are combining houses. I mean, it's a happy thing, but it's always a lot of negotiation and figuring out how they're going to run their house. I'm really excited. And again, I'm super passionate about my organizing business and about the experience that I have had over the past couple years, and I'm happy to talk about it. But I'm also just so pumped about the web design aspect of it and the marketing aspect of it. And I want to teach you guys how to sell yourself, how to present yourself, so that you can have this like really like chic sort of business that you can be proud of. Like, and you know, again, you're not a house cleaner. Like, you are so much more than that, and you have so much more to offer. It's more of a coaching, kind of personal training type of position. And so it's so different than what people think it is. It's not about only working with hoarders. It's about so much more than that. So thank you for watching. Thank you. My website, www.proorganizerstudio.com.